I don't make anybody wear headphones because I don't know why.
Well, it's for you, isn't it, for the sound?
Yes, I need to be able to hear when your microphone's close enough. And if you notice,
Gotcha.
I keep it super close.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Let's
All right.
hear. Test.
Check. 1, 2, 3.
Casey Spicer. I've known you for 6 years or 7 years now.
7 years.
He is a Marine. Notice that I didn't say was. That's the thing, right?
There's no ex-Marines. We're all Marines until we die.
So you don't say was a Marine.
You don't say former.
Okay.
Or was, yeah. You're always a Marine until you die.
Well, he is a Marine. He is a father. He's one of my closest friends, but not like we hang out all the time. You're just the guy that'll be there when I call. I'm the guy that'll be there when you call. We've been on many adventures.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, in a short amount of time. And we finally managed to do a podcast. Well, we're finally managing to get around and do a podcast together, and I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
I don't want to take up the whole first 5 minutes, but I do want to give you a proper introduction because Casey's probably... I love people that have the capacity for violence, but they choose to be kind. And you're probably one of the kindest, most patient men I've ever met in my life. Like, you have a level of patience that I admire, and I've tried to understand. Like, I observe you anytime we're doing things together. I've just been around you in stressful situations, and you just calm. He's a paramedic by trade, I would say, right?
Yes.
A great paramedic. He's helped my son. I remember once he wanted to jump off a cliff into a river, and I thought, well, hell, he's the only paramedic who's going to save him if he breaks his legs. But, yeah, that's just a little bit of background, and I hope I did it justice.
Well, and that's an incredible compliment. Thank you so much. That's been a skill that I've really had to bring to bear in the last 5 to 6 years.
Whoa, so you're saying it's kind of relatively new since, because when I met you, you've been calm ever since I've met you.
I've been calm in the surrounding of where when I'm with people that I know, so like my circle, then I know to bring that person forward because I'm talking to people that are important to me and I really want to hear the whole situation before I give any input. Because for me, it lands differently than if I'm telling somebody that I'm working with, hey, this is what we're going to do because I'm the one in charge. And it took me a long time to learn that skill and then bring it over into what I was doing up until a year ago. Because if you're an abrasive leader and you can't lead by respect and you can't lead by example, then you're not going to get anywhere very fast. And so I really had to make conscious effort to become that person that somebody's going to respect and they're going to follow because they see that I'm going to do the work with them. I'm not telling you to go do it because I can't or I just don't want to do it. It's because I have other things that also need to happen at the same time, simultaneous action. But yeah, I really strive to be the leader. It's like we learned to be in the Marine Corps. It's like everybody works, everybody fights. And so, yeah, being that leader that's going to be next to you, not behind you or in front of you or anything else, I'm going to be right there with you.
It's funny because your podcast will come out in a couple weeks, and the last one I did, we probably spent 15, 20 minutes on leadership and the difference between management and leadership. So you haven't seen this. It was between Carlos and I. We went deep into that, and it's fascinating to me. That's where you tapped. I'm like, right out of the gate, it's like, oh, my God, this aligns perfectly because you haven't heard any of the previous. So you're not piggybacking off of it. This is just something that I don't know. It's just something, I don't know what brought it up, but I am so excited because it's going to be 2 weeks back to back that we're going to get into a little bit of leadership, and it's missing in this world. And so I'm backing up to what I said about you being patient. So it's just, I guess I'm more impressed because it's not natural. It's something you're working on. It's something you work towards. You know better. You're doing better. And I love that. We were going to talk about targets tonight at some point. And I'll tell my story and why I want to tell it, but it's about leadership. At the end of the day, we're lacking leadership, and leadership is nothing more than serving. You're serving the people you're responsible for.
That is so astute. That is, I mean, that's hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly what leadership is.
Everything else is management, and I say management is there to maintain the standards that already exist. It's like, this is a status quo. This is what the company says. I don't care what the condition is. The rules say no. And they won't even fight for you. They won't even try. And I just look at them like, okay, well, they're just here to do a job. I'll go another way.
And so in saying it that way, why it's especially important to me is that that's kind of the root of where, like, one of the first lessons I had to learn. Because going through the Marine Corps, the first example you have of what leadership is you're going through, you got your senior drill instructor, your heavy hat, and I forget what they call the other guy. But their job is to, like, just break you down into a foundation and rebuild you into what they want. And so that's what you think leadership is. And from there, it's having those right people in place, which, I mean, I might have had them in place. I just wasn't receiving the message. But through eventually breaking all that down and then getting some really good leadership, like I don't know what his rank is now, but Major Tracy, if you watch this, you're the one that started that journey. But yeah, learning that people don't work for you, you work for them. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you.
I was talking to someone today about basic training, and she was talking about she's got herself in a situation where she is helping out family, and she has basically adopted children that aren't hers, and they are wild, to say the least, according to her. And we were just talking about how difficult it is to went into the philosophy of basic training, and you were describing the Marine Corps. It sounds just like the Army. Now, the standards are different. The goal is the same. Strip someone down. Why? It's because people come from all walks of life, and they have to level the playing field, and then they get to reinvest in you and build you back up. And the Marines do that. Like they're on another. They've perfected this for just standard military, and then, of course, special forces take it a little bit further. But the point is to strip you down, to equalize and remove any sense of entitlement, and then rebuild you back. And it's fascinating, the philosophy behind the military and why our military is so good, because it's standardized, it's simplified, it's lean, it's beautiful. We go toying with that, or we're going to weaken our military. And I don't know if this needs to be a conversation about the military, but it's definitely a conversation on leadership and the leadership that's missing, not only in the workplace, but in our homes.
I would feel how the two correlate between home and military is that kind of like in those early years. So let's say we compare that to childhood, of where in my early years in the Marine Corps, I mean, every leader was just like, it was do as I say, not as I do. It was a very physical, reinforced type of discipline structure, which it's evolved a little bit since then.
I think our fathers came from that. They're from more,
absolutely.
I would say Vietnam. You know, they weren't far removed from war. Their fathers were even closer to World War II than World War. So we came from a violent past, and we're really reaping the benefits. We have different problems than our fathers did, but I can understand why my father had that attitude, do as I say, not as I do. Kids are meant to be seen, not heard, like this. And we're getting away from that because you, as a total badass in this world, the way I see you interact with your kids, and you have two back-to-back, like you kind of jumped in quick, and you know what I mean? You're just figuring out.
37, I had to move.
Yeah. Well, I just see how calm and patient you are with them, and it's fascinating to me. Like, I did not have the same level of patience. I was a much younger father. I was in my 20s. And so I had to use a little bit of what my father taught me. And as I get older, I've softened up. That's not always a good thing. And there's things we can talk about tonight that I don't know how much we want to talk about family. But I'm going through some shit.
Hey, I mean,
not with my sons. My sons are amazing. But, you know, kids of kids, you know. Well, removed.
That is definitely one conversation I'd love to have with you. It's probably a longer time than we have here. But
no, let's get into it.
It was like I was telling you, I think it's interesting to discuss fatherhood with you. For one, it's that I'm really in the beginning of that journey, and I feel like you are on that journey. You're on that side of the journey where you've seen your children into adulthood, and now you're experiencing that kind of seeing the results of your hard work. And the other part of that too is you're very different than a lot of other of my friends, because with you, every interaction that I've ever had with you, I've come away learning something. And for as many interactions as we has had, I feel like that's saying something.
Golly, I don't even know how to take that. You've said that to me before, and now it's official. And it's never my intention, because it's an exploration for me. I'm never here to teach or train, I'm just here to explore things. And I'm so honored that you would say that. I don't know that I could get a higher compliment.
Well, and So I want to give this example because I think it kind of puts out there what leadership is too. So as being a father, you're a leader. And so one particular instance that's always stuck in my mind, and it really prompted me to apply this to my own children, is so I had basically made an engineering error and bought the wrong size shocks for my truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, okay, who can help me out of this? And my first thought was, okay, you know what? If I know anybody that can redneck this, it's going to be Nathan.
Oh, come on. That's an insult. That wasn't That was Go ahead.
Yeah. But no, but so I call him up and he's like, oh, yeah, okay. So he comes over and he brings his whole welding machine with him and he brings his sons with him. And so we're in there and we're looking at this. We come up with a solution, basically cut some things, weld some things go in. It's held true to this, even to this point. Like the thing hasn't broken. So,
and it's been through a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I definitely, oh, wow. Everything you're saying about my sons, I knew a long time ago. I had one role in life, and this was I don't think I would call, I was the last of my bloodline from Ireland. I was the very last Carol of my bloodline, we thought. Come to find out, I had an uncle that was not dead. Mm-hmm. And but before we found out, he was alive. He is a geophysicist, and he had been living all over the world. And so, long story, my family was broken up because my grandfather had died of tuberculosis in like the 40s. So my family became orphaned, and I was the last Carol of my bloodline. So we thought, so it had already been ingrained in my mind by my whole family. Like, you have to have sons; it's a must. So I just knew everyone I dated with the intentions of having a son, and even at 14 years old, I just knew that was my role. And I'm so happy that I got to fulfill that. Come to find out, I had two male cousins one was born in Finland and one in the U.S. Neither one of them had sons. They only had girls. So it still fell back on me. Now it's on my three sons. And I don't know that I'm putting the same responsibility on them. Although as I go further, I'm like, yeah, you need to do this. But I don't know why I said all that except for the fact that I only wanted to be weighed. I only wanted to be judged in this life by my sons, by my offspring. You can judge me on anything in this world, but I pray to God I am judged on the, not necessarily success, but the overall character of my sons, because they were just nothing but an investment. So much so that I pulled them out of school and I thought, I'll teach you how to learn rather than what to learn. And we just made it up. It was a huge experiment. Anytime they were in trouble, I was much stricter when I was younger, but then I've gotten softer. That wasn't always a good choice, but it was an experiment. And now I'm at a point that I'm so close with my oldest two. My youngest is 17, so we're still figuring that out. I mean, he's wonderful, but he's smarter than all of us combined, and so it's harder to convince him of anything. Probably autism, like his dad.
Or learned behavior.
I'm just so honored that I can have difficult conversations with my sons, and we walk away hugging and loving. And I'd love to go into it after you can follow up, because I wanted to talk about the target after this. But yeah, I'm just so grateful that you brought up about my sons and how I've included them in everything I do. And
so for me, that was a big thing of where where I see you as an important resource in fatherhood and figuring out this journey, is that you just have such a multitude of skills in your bag that you've learned through your life's journey that just, I don't think a lot of kids get these days. On top of that, you involve them in everything. Yeah. And when I thought back on that, and I realized there have been so many moments where, like, my son is like, he's like 2 years old. He's like, Daddy, I want to go. And I'm like, no, I just want to go in and go back. I just want to do. And I look back on that and I almost kind of start crying a little bit, because I'm like, he just wanted to be with his dad. Yeah. And so now it's like, if they say like, hey, Dad, I want to go too. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go. Yeah. And you know what? I found it's not that big of a hassle. No. It's pretty nice, and they figure it out. But yeah. And then the other thing that I recognize you're talking about is, you talk about bloodlines, but what about legacy? Yeah,
so funny you're mentioning that. Legacy's everything.
But yeah, with your sons, it's like, and seeing the fruit of your labors and everything, it's like, yeah, that's your legacy that you left, which is immortality.
Yeah, it's why I can joke around about death, and I'm so comfortable with it, because I look at them and I think, my job is done. Everything else from this point on is just icing on top. That's why I don't jump into relationships. That's why I'm so content. I think being alone, because I'm still investing in them, and oh God, it's just so rewarding having them in my life. I don't know how to describe it. And they're flunkies. They're goof-offs. They mess up constantly, and I beg them to go mess up. Go mess your credit up. Go make some unreasonable, irresponsible life choices. Because the emotion that's associated with bad decisions is the exact same emotion associated with bad decisions. For instance, if I might encourage my son to go $10,000 in debt and he messes his credit up, it takes a few years to get that back. The misery that's associated with recovering that $10,000 is the same misery that you feel. Like the experience is the same, but when you're 42 and you go $1 million in debt, well, that's when people kill themselves, because it's much more difficult. So I want them to experience the loss young. So I never tried to protect them from failure. I encouraged it constantly. We'll figure it out together. Like, I literally made this statement: I don't care how bad you mess up. Tell me the truth. Even if we got to bury a body together, I'm there. I literally told my son that. Now, I'm obviously joking, but I wanted him to understand, as long as you can be honest with yourself and be honest with me, we can get through anything. There's no wrong choices. Life is nothing but a series of mistakes that you learn from, because I don't think I've ever learned one thing from someone that told me to do it differently. I had to figure it out for myself. Now, as I get older and wiser, I'm able to look at you and I see the patience that you have with your son, and it affects me. I think, ooh, I can do better. I can do better. Because here's an example. I knew for the longest that the number one cause of death is stress, because you release cortisol, stress restricts blood vessels. By far, nothing comes close to the number one cause. It's stress. It's a stress hormone. And they did an experiment recently with AI, and they said, what would it take to live to become 140 years old? The AI had determined it had nothing to do with diet, sleep, working out, nothing. There was not one thing that would increase your odds of longevity. The number one thing was reducing stress. And I was thinking, Casey's going to live forever. Like, Casey, deals with stress. Now, maybe you bottle it up, and I don't know what you do with it, because you don't dump it on anybody. Like, everyone has problems. You never dump your problems on anyone. You're a black hole when it comes to trauma. And I don't know what you do with it. Like, well, how do you process it?
It's one of those things where I like to say I'm wired differently, but it's also, there's been a lot of therapy involved.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're admitting that. It's important.
I have those few people in my life that I'm able to talk about those things and talk it through, and I know they're going to give me that honest feedback, because you can't talk about that stuff with just anybody. But yeah, I would duck on top of the water, feet are constantly churning. And so, yeah, it's been, there's, like I've told you, there's quite a mental health journey that's happened. Yeah. And so, but yeah, for me, a lot of things aren't that a lot of things I experience in my job are not that stressful. The stressful things for me usually involve my kids, family, home, the things to me that my friends, the things to me that actually matter in life. The job could be gone. All these extraneous friendships that, they're there as a device or a tool. Those could all go away. As long as I got that core, I'm fine. But no, definitely this cup has a bottom, and there's varying outlets that I usually take, but I never take it out on my friends and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing that, because we all have it. Mm-hmm. If you had a parent, if you have a life, you have trauma to some degree. It's not for me to judge. We all have it, but nobody talks about it enough. And that's what mental health is. When we were younger, we had real life problems. It was different. When times are hard, you don't worry about nonsense. We worry about our clothes now. We worry about the tires on our Jeeps. We're worrying about shit that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And when you're struggling, you narrow your worry down. When you're in a third world country, those people are happiest because they don't have choices when it comes to their struggle. They face it, and they don't have the luxury of sitting around thinking about nail polish. You know what I mean? Or a hairstylist, or which girl they're going to date. Our mental health is at all-time high because we have an abundance of choices. And I've always said it doesn't matter. Good choices are bad. The more you have, the worse off you're going to be, because I've seen plenty of people that were convicted and arrested They're arrested and convicted, and they have to serve jail time. And the misery that was on their face, I see them in these courtrooms. You see them, and they know they're going to get life. And then the judge says 15 years. Oh, thank God. Do you know how insane the human mind is to be relieved and happy that it's a fraction of what they thought? Isn't that fascinating that humans are at their worst when they have choices?
Yes. And so the analogy I like to use is a buddy of mine, Mr. Moore. I used to do CrossFit with him. He's an engineer. So he's civil engineer. So roadways and stuff. And for some reason, we got on the conversation of choices at one point. He's like, Casey, you know what the easiest way to make sure traffic flows at its optimal rate is? And I was like, what is it? He's like, you just make a 1-lane road, 1 lane each direction, and you have as few turnoffs as possible.
Church Street.
Yeah,
6 lanes of traffic, total freaking chaos. Because people have choices. They're zigzagging. There's infinitely more accidents on South Church Street in Murfreesboro because people have so many choices. They wait to the last minute. Ooh, I can get around this person. Then I cut, and then the tailgate. Mm-hmm. Yes, humans are not designed to have choices. We have not evolved to that because we've existed for thousands of years with minimal choices, and now progress has got to a point that prosperity has allowed us to have choices. Matter of fact, our Netflix, our Instagram, everything is catered to give you more choices, and it is the reason why our minds are designed to overcome. We are biologically engineered to overcome difficult circumstances.
We're designed to struggle.
And it's been kind of removed from us. Mm-hmm. And this is why all societies collapse every 80 to 100 years. And it's called The Fourth Turning. We won't go down that unless you want to. But
I got that book on my bookshelf.
It's a wonderful book. Wonderful. It brings clarity to everything. It's why I don't worry. It's this is supposed to be happening. And it's happening because we have an abundance of choices. Just like in online dating. People are so miserable. That's why I won't do it. I don't want those choices. That's why I travel the country with a quarter. And I flip it. That's when I travel solo. Heads is yes, right, east, and yes, right, north, and east. Tells us left, no, west, and south. I feel like if I can narrow life down to 2 choices, both are pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'll get to a stop sign. I don't know if I want to go left or right, flip a coin. Or I'll find a bar in the middle of nowhere. That's how I've met the most fascinating people in the country. It was a quarter. It was fate, because there's no wrong place. There's no wrong way. Just live in the moment, enjoy it, try to experience and absorb as much as possible. But if I'm over here stressed out on how far do I want to go? Do I want to see this city, this city, this city? No, I like all the cities because I like people that are in. That's why I love bars so much, because there's always someone in there that I can have a conversation with. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm an alcoholic. It's because I know there's someone in there that's ready to engage and say, are you in that Jeep with no doors? Where are you from? You're 3,000 miles from home with no doors? How do you handle the snow and the rain? And I'm like, with a effing smile. That's how I do it, because I've got no choice. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy.
Which kind of brings up an interesting question, and I believe a segue of, so then is the purpose to hit the target of life, or is it to minimize the movement of the target of life? Oh,
that's a good question. So you threw me a curveball I wasn't expecting. I have learned this. So it's so fascinating. I had a great conversation with my son last night. It got emotional. I don't know if I could recall it in the same way that I had it, but okay, so I'll tell the story. So yesterday I was going to church early. I thought that I was having a stomach emergency, and I thought, oh, shoot, I need to go back home. I text my friend Carlos, my stomach is not agreeing with me, and I would never back out. But I was concerned. Stayed up all night playing poker. If I'm being honest, we stayed up till after midnight. Garrett, he tends to make these things last a little longer than they should. Wonderful time, though. But I go back home. I trust but verify. Everything. False alarm, we're good. And I think to myself, no, I'm going to church. Even if I'm going to be late. I text Carlos, false alarm, I'm on my way. And then Carlos goes, yep, it's probably the type of sermon you need to hear. You know what I mean? Maybe you were being tested. Anyway, I didn't think anything about it. But I go and I hear this amazing sermon that was kind of a difficult one. There's 2 parts to it. The first part I'm still working out. It was about the book of John. But the preacher was talking about just doing better. Like your role. Like he was basically saying, John would say that you can't claim to be a Christian if you know better and don't do better, essentially is what he's saying. He said, John would say you're not a Christian if you are knowingly committing the sin and you're not. And so to repent means to move away from. I'm learning these things. To repent. I'm not here to preach or teach. I'm learning and I'm exploring it with my friend because I learned a valuable lesson in this. And I was really stressed out. I was like, what do you mean I'm not a Christian? because I was thinking about unmarital sex. I'm thinking there's certain things I'm not willing to give up. And I'm trying to wrap my head around this concept of being forced back into marriage. And so I'm really struggling. And I spent hours writing about it, thinking about it, studying it. And I thought, I got to read this for myself. But there was a second part of that. He was talking about the target of life. He said, imagine a target on the back wall. He goes, you're never going to hit it. You're never going to hit the bullseye. And I thought, oh yeah, that's perfection, right? Only Jesus was perfect. But we should strive for it, right? We should attempt to hit the target, not just say, fuck the hell with the target. We should at least try. And I was thinking, wow, that's really our only role. So what it was, my son was making a video. He made his first wedding film. Yeah, I'm pretty proud. I was helping. A friend of mine asked, because I don't do films for a living anymore. And a friend of mine reached out, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, give my son a chance, and I'll work with him and just see if he has it. You know, who knows? He shot it. I was with him. I told him what to do, and he couldn't do it. And this, like, weeks go by. Nothing was happening. So I strip it from him. I said, you know what? You don't want to do it? I'll do it. I told him the basics, find a song, put the content in order, and I'll help you through it. I didn't feel like he did his part. So I stripped it from him. And then a week goes by, and he wanted another chance. I said, okay, but I'll sit down, and maybe I should help you. And I didn't do a good job. I wasn't patient enough. I expected too much from him, and I realized I set the bar really high. This is a kid that's never made a film in his life. You know, other than a couple of YouTube videos from gaming. He didn't really have. I gave him a series of videos. I said, copy that. And that was still too hard. Ultimately, we sat down, and I got him started, and I saw the light go off. And he's been working on it for weeks now. A 3-minute video he spent weeks on. I helped him dial it in, taught him timing, taught him, anticipation, the build. Like, let's look for these magical moments like it's a puzzle that we're trying to solve. And we get almost done. We do color correction, and I'm teaching him all these things. And I stopped, and I thought, Brennan, it'll never be perfect. I could spend 12 hours on that 3-minute clip trying to get the colors perfect. And I said, done is better than perfect at some point. Yeah, we have to realize this is your first. It should not look like my work. I have 15 years of practicing. Don't worry about perfect. Just strive for your best and then put it out. And then after time goes by, look at it and say, where could I do better next time? Because sometimes you have to detach from it and reflect on it, and that's life. And then I said, oh gosh, that target in church, this is what he was talking about. You don't have to hit the target. You just need to freaking aim for it. Always strive to be your best. Don't lower your standards just because you need to get it. Anyways, it was just a wonderful experience. And I thought, oh my God, the lesson I learned in church today, I didn't realize how impactful it was going to be. I'm not able to deliver it right here, right now, the way I did with my son. But that's all we have to do in life. It's never going to be perfect, but try. And then reflect on it and try again. That's it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot in there. It's tough for me to see my son or my daughter flounder right now, but there's that part of me that just knows it's like, you got to get through it. You got to work through it. You got to learn failure. And more importantly, you got to learn how to accept failure and learn from failure. But I will say too, is with the target thing.
You said something about a moving target.
Well, yeah. So when you sent that to me, it really got me thinking on something that, I've had in the back of my brain case before. There's one thing, is it a target? Because in target, when you say perfection is...
It's an illusion.
It's unattainable.
Yeah,
you're putting an unreasonable expectation on yourself. So is life about hitting that target, hitting a moving target, or is it about hitting that series of targets? Like the example I thought of in my head is, did you ever play like video games like in your 20s? So
Yeah, it was called Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
No, I'm joking. I'm not that old.
Well, okay. So this is the analogy I'm going to use. Is that so? When you get to perfection, you're thinking like, okay, I'm going to use World of Warcraft. Is the thing. So World of Warcraft, I'm going to be the best mage I can be. Right? Like when I played, I was a mage. It was a great time. Like I'm going to be the best mage there is. Well, as you start working yourself up the skill tree, you realize, well, you got to start making decisions. Well, do you want to be an ice mage, fire mage, whatever? And you start realizing it's like, there's no way you can be like the best of anything, you can strive to be like the, as good as you think you can. But yeah, so you just constantly have to work this way up, and as the further up you get, it just splinters and splinters, and you realize you can't do all of this. Like in paramedicine, like you can be a paramedic, but then after you get that, it's critical care paramedic. And then he's like, I want to be the best paramedic there is. Well, there's pediatric neonatal critical care, there is community care medicine. There's just like, if you're going to master all of that, then like you're going to end up being 70 and still being on a truck or teaching, which, more power to you. But then there's another aspect in video games that is the achievements. And this is the part that I really enjoy about video games these days, is you're not necessarily trying to be the best at the game, but you're trying to hit all the side quests. You're trying to hit the mini quests. You're trying to enjoy the full experience that the designer of that experience that you're having wanted you to feel. So it's not that you're just following the track you're supposed to follow. You're going out and finding all the beauty in this thing that they've designed. And so you have this like achievement list that's usually there, and it's like got like 30 things on it. So it got me thinking of where, life's not about hitting a target. It's about hitting all of the achievement lists.
I think that you're describing life, and we get so wrapped up in the wrong things. And I dedicated all of my life to one thing, and that was to self-overcome, to be the best version of myself. I realized I only had one role in life, and that is to truly be the best version of myself that I possibly can be, to be a lighthouse in other people's life, and that's where that came from. And then now I apply everything I do, whether I'm a maintenance man or whether I'm a cinematographer or whether I'm a counselor or a school teacher. Everything I do, I strive to be a lighthouse in other people's lives, and I am crazy about it. And I've gone so far with it. I've gone so granular that it's not the obvious things that I'm targeting. I say all the time, it's the yes, no's, sometimes, and maybes. And that sounds absolutely crazy. But on first principle thinking, I realized, it's truly the small choices we make that define our overall legacy. It's not our big choices. It's the times that I said, well, maybe, and I should have said, no, I'm not interested. Or the time that I said yes, but I said it out of guilt. Or the time I said no, but I was angry. I allowed my emotion to modify. I was reaction. And I don't mind responding, but you cannot respond to anything if you want to do it right, if you want to shine bright. I don't believe we should ever respond when we have an emotion. Happy, sad, mad, angry, it doesn't matter, because it's influenced and it's temporary. And I had this idea one day. I thought, we should never make a decision based on an emotion that we're having today that will definitely change tomorrow. Give it time. Take some time and just breathe. And we destroy our relationships. We're destroying our friendships. We're destroying our children because we have a feeling, and I want to resolve this, and we should talk about this. And then, oh my God, we're destroying everyone around us because of these very small little interactions that really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I don't have it figured out, but I'm focused on it.
So yeah, that's where I feel it's very important to put distance between the event and the decision, especially when a lot of emotions involved. It follows with like when you're raising your kids, like there's some of those households where as soon as the event happens, the parent is angry, they're yelling, sometimes hands get thrown. That's what it is. Whereas I feel it's important to create that distance of, all right, this happened. Now you're going to go sit in your room and I'll be there in 5 minutes. That's not because I want you to I'm not hoping, or I am hoping you're thinking about what just happened. In reality, you're probably sitting there thinking I'm a jerk or whatever. But in reality, that's giving me 5 minutes to cool down so I don't do something that I'm going to regret. Yeah. It's kind of like the old adage of like, never go to bed angry. Yes, go to bed angry. Yeah. Then sleep on it and then have the conversation when you're both cool.
It's funny because Joy brought that up the other day, your nervous system resets. I made a promise to my kids that I would never discipline them when I was upset. I would say, you know what, I'm too pissed off right now to even make a decision. So give me some time to think about this. And that lesson that I learned with my kids, I started applying to my friendships, to my colleagues, to my leadership. Like if we're feeling something, let's just calm down. We'll talk about it later. Because anything we do right now is called a reaction. A reaction is a response with an emotion attached. No good, Not if you're in a position that could affect someone else's life. We need to let this emotion pass. This too shall pass. And because logic and emotion can't mix. The emotion's important. The emotion points the way. The emotion calms down. Then you can reflect on it and make a judgment call. And that's what's missing in this world. The whole world is making decisions based on how they feel, not what's reasonable and logical. Those two things are so far separated from one another. I'm fascinated watching the news. It's an emotional, it's a bunch of damn nonsense. Grown-ass adults that went to universities to get these positions, they're running the world, and every decision they make is based on how they feel. My God, what prosperity we have achieved, that we have the luxury of making decisions based on how I feel. And at the whole fucking time, we're burning the world down around us.
Well, think of the quality of human we had in leadership roles during the time that, we were raised. I mean, you had people that they survived Vietnam. They didn't have near the amount of technology or efficiency of logistical chain that we have. I mean, things were legitimately hard to get and acquire. And it was during that whole when the work smarter, not harder campaign was just coming online. There were still people were trades jobs. And if you went to school, that was kind of highfalutin, whereas they wanted to make that shift. And so now we've gotten to more of that, where you got to go to college so you can be somebody, and now we're seeing the reverse side of that. But yeah, we came from a spot of where people had seen brutality, they had seen kind of what violence brings, what emotions unchecked bring, and they knew that was bad. And so they saw the value of controlling that. It's like you say, somebody who knows the power of violence but chooses to be patient. I know that side of things, and I know that it's not pretty, and I know the results are not what I want. I find that you get more of the results you want when you're patient. You take the time to find that peaceful resolution, or you find a way to convey what the resolution is going to be with the minimal amount of conflict, because that way, not everybody's going to win, but we at least get something we want. And we've lost that in our leadership these days because either they didn't get emotional regulation, or they just selfish.
It's a consequence of prosperity.
Ah, yes.
It's on first principles. We're an animal. We're an animal, and people think that, oh no, I can handle it. No, they don't understand the capacity. I tell people, you don't have a clue who you are until you have been put in a position that you feel threatened. Then the real you comes out. And you can look at monkeys. Monkeys exist in a troop of about 80. They can't really maintain a population of more than 80. They progress to a point that we can go down that path. I'll offend so many people. I won't tell everything about how monkeys operate, but I will say that after 80, they start to fracture. They're at their all-time high. They have order. Everything's good. Everything should be perfect. And then people some of the monkeys say, you know what, I'm going to challenge your authority. And it fractures, and they break up, and they go into another troop. It's fascinating because lobsters do it, and humans do it. We're an animal at the end of the day. We're just civilized to some degree. But when times get hard, we go back to being an animal.
Yeah, that's actually an established theory, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. But yes, you're right. When a society grows to a certain point, then it starts to come in on itself.
It does, because it loses its point of reference. You'll hear me say all the time, suffering's important, the consequences of suffering. Look, Casey, why do we take our vehicles and jack them up and put big fancy tires on it, and we do all this equipment? We build our vehicles to do difficult things because there's the possibility that some shit will break.
Yes.
And we think we take it on trails that it's inevitably going to break. And then we make a video from it, and we talk about how amazing that trip was. I forget which president it was. He said it's not an adventure unless something goes wrong. This is the reason why we backpack. This is the reason why we join. It was Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah. This is why we do hard things. Lewis and Clark. No point in doing that. But it was a hard thing. And the reward from accomplishing, if you're talking about your video game, we have to make choices that allow us to grow. And we grow from doing difficult things. And I don't believe in failure. I don't know how to fail. I believe in making mistakes. I think those are important. I said a long time ago, I don't think I'm a creative guy. And then my son was like, no, you are. And I said, well, I think creativity is truly like a problem-solving process. Creativity is true creativity in my mind is the process of making mistakes, allowing yourself to make mistakes, and that everything else is a reflection that already exists. I mean, you're emulating. And that's what AI does. It emulates what our best. AI cannot do better than us because it can't create. It don't know how to make mistakes and reflect on those mistakes. It's just a prompt system. And that's why humans are always going to be better. And I didn't mean to go down the AI rabbit hole, but it's because of this will collapse. There's no question. It collapses every 80 to 100 years. It should have collapsed in '08. That's what the book, The Fourth Turning, you want. Just go read the summary of the book. It's fascinating. You can find a 15-minute video on YouTube that describes The Fourth Turning. It is nothing more than hard times, which are coming. Yes. Hard times generate strong men. I would say strong people. I don't think we should take that away from the ladies because they go through it too. And you need some strong women to get you through this. You're only as good as the women you surround yourself with, in my opinion. Hard times create strong people. Strong people create good times. Mm-hmm. We're in the good times. Good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. And we're not weak because we're not strong. We're weak because we have so many choices. And it mentally messes us up. We're not evolved to a point, but we're doing better. If you look at the last 500 years of history, you're going to find about 6 to 7 collapses. And you think women couldn't vote 60 years ago or whatever it was. It wasn't very long ago. So we are progressing. We are doing better. And you look at during the Romans, it's fascinating. It's the reason why they created the Roman Colosseum, because the Romans had conquered everything and people didn't know what to do with that. There was no battles to fight, so they create. That's why football and baseball, this is why sports exist, is to distract the population. People think it's mind control. No, it's not. If we don't have a gladiator to see ourselves through, then we start to... You see what happens when cities burn themselves to the ground over something small because we have tension inside of. We're a freaking animal at the end of the day. So our modern day football players, our football players are modern day gladiators that people could invest their anger through. It's like they're wrestler. You know what I mean? The Romans were genius when it comes to this. Yeah, they were genius when they came to it, because if they didn't have that, they would have burned their own city to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And I think something I just popped in my head with this was that so opulence, it does present a lot of choices, but also presents the choices to do nothing. Like one of the problems we're having now, where like kids are seeing their dream as becoming a influencer. Not taken away from people who are like successful YouTube influencers. Like there's several that I watch that like change my way of thinking all the time. But at the same time, yeah, it's like giving that option of where like you can do nothing as far as like contribute to the society. Like this is, okay, it might be an unpopular opinion, but so have you ever read the book Starship Troopers? The book?
No.
Okay, so the book gets away from the movie, or rather the movie gets away from the book. But in there, the way government's set up is that you have citizens and you have civilians. The differentiation between them is
Elon Musk is a fan of this book, isn't he?
Probably.
Yeah, I've heard him speak about it. This is an old book.
Oh, yeah. Like, okay. I've got a copy, like the pages are yelled, it's falling apart, but I've read it like 20 times. But in there, society is set up between citizens and civilians. Citizens, they've served a term in civil service.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you have to join the military or anything, but you are basically invested in your society. Yep. So you get voting rights. It's easier to get married. It's easier to get pregnant, all this other stuff. Yep. Versus you have civilians who've decided, no, we don't want to invest in this. So it's like, okay, cool, but you don't get to vote. You don't have, like, it's going to be harder for you to like get permission to get married. It's going to be a lot harder for you to become pregnant and all this other stuff, which I'm not saying that's part of my view, but I believe it's important for people to be invested in what they are going to have a say in. It's like originally the voting structure was set up.
We wasn't too far from it. You had to own land.
Yeah, I think we should go back to the ones that had voting rights. It's like because they were the stakeholders, and there's something to that.
We'll go down this path. Keep going. We'll go down that path.
But yeah, I think one of the big problems that opulence has presented is presented that option for people that don't want to do anything.
So I want to go down two things. I want to talk about AI, universal basic income, what a utopia is, and I would love to talk about the Gulag Archipelago, because these things. So universal basic income is coming unless an EMP happens, which, in some weird ways, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Unfortunately, 90% of the population will starve to death, and that's odd too. I'm not okay with that part of it. Mm-hmm. I'm really it's a really difficult thing to wrap my head around, how vulnerable we are as a species and the nonsense that we debate over. And we're just one EMP away from the sun, from resetting us back to the Stone Age. And I can't remember that one event. The Korean event happened in the 1800s where it fried what electrical grid they had, which was basically just Morse code. And we think we're vulnerable. It's so funny. We're so precious. We're so fortunate to be able to have this conversation over this thing through these $50,000 worth of cameras. Oh, it's a miracle. And we're over here debating about the dumbest shit in the world. And this could all go pew in 1 second. And we'll be sitting here in the dark thinking, what the hell just happened? My phone's not working. And a solar flare, boom, wiped us out.
Yeah,
solar flare.
I would say one of my biggest gripes about AI is that people think that they're leveraging it to its max ability to make, Skitty Bop or whatever it is.
I don't know any of that.
They're making these little AI images that are just dumber than anything. Yeah. I'm like, really? You want to take an incredible tool like that and that's what you're using it for? I pity you.
I always I don't talk about it much. One of these days I'm going to invite Lucy onto the show and we're going to introduce Lucy to the world. I've been very nervous about it.
Can I dress up like Brendan Fraser in War Games?
Yeah, I've been very nervous about it because I've built this from nothing, and I built it from my life's experiences, and I know that universal basic income's coming, and it's probably going to get started in the next 5 years, and that's why I'm fighting so hard to preserve infrastructure-based skills like industrial maintenance, like electricians, like brick masonry. We can automate all of this. There's not a job on the planet that we can't automate it. Especially the second we make fingertips. People have no idea how amazing a fingertip is because a robot works off torque. We use torque, and so it'll be a sensor up here that can register how much it's squeezing. And it's using current, watts, things of that nature. It's torque. A fingertip has so many thousands of sensors. It's so sensitive. We haven't quite figured that out. I know the Japanese are working on it, and they're getting close. And that terrifies me. And universal basic income's coming, and so many people think they'd be excited about it. I'm like terrified of the idea of retirement because my happiness, see, this is what I don't think people realize, is that happiness is external from you. Happiness is a consequence of the people that you have in your life, the goals that you have in life. Peace and joy is within. Peace and joy is something that it's very difficult to get, but that's like being content and satisfied. Like there's not a better feeling. But these moments of happiness, wonderful. But that also means sadness is coming. You know what I mean? So I tell people to make sure you're hesitant when it comes to drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex. Anytime you have these large spikes in life, right, you're chasing a high, there's a low that follows. It's just life. That's just physics.
There's pain and consequences on
Yeah, and I'm okay with it. I just try to minimize it as much as possible. I try to regulate my highs. Right.
When you say universal basic income, to what are you exactly referring?
Meaning that we can automate everything, and we're just a few years away from actually doing it. I mean, like 99% of all jobs will be taken. I've been saying for 3 years, AI won't replace you. The people using it will. I have it on record. I'm the first person I've ever heard say it. Now every CEO on the planet is saying it. It's so funny that my friends are like, you've been saying this for 3 years. And it's like I can do the job of 1,000 people. I probably am doing the job of hundreds. I have hundreds of AI agents that are just constantly working. I can just pull them up and it will do thousands of hours of work for a huge group of people. And I don't know how many people I've got using AI right now, but it's in all aspects of life. Lucy is a monster. She has built a lot of things. She doesn't oversee these things, but she is the tool that I use to build all these AIs.
Definitely that journey with you, it's got me using it a lot more in my daily life. However, I know Gemini 3, when they came out with their new stuff, they said they were introducing nuance into it. Like being able to use nuance to come up with these solutions. However, I think it'll take longer than 5 years because I think the human component is very important.
It is. And that's what I'm saying. One human can do the job of 1,000 humans because
it's definitely a force multiplier.
I've replicated myself in so many aspects, from grants to government to everything, education. We are 97% more efficient. 100% is the speed of light. AI, because I record everything, it's crazy. We have accelerated our progress if we choose to be, but we can do it 97% faster. Whatever we set into problem, my job is problem solving, especially workforce development for the future. And because the people, I don't want to go too far down that, but it is wildly powerful. I don't even know how to articulate it, how powerful it is. I could just show you and watch your mind melt. And I do that all the time. It's really funny. But so universal basic income is coming. One attorney can do the job of 1,000 attorneys. The only jobs that will be left soon will be jobs that feel good. Your service industry, those are safe. We don't want a robot doing it for us. I think school teachers are going to be safe because, and I can build an AI that's infinitely better than any school teacher, but there's a human component that you need to maintain. I think that AIs will make us better. And I demonstrate all the time how I am already a cyborg. I can break out Lucy and we can solve any task from electrical grid. It doesn't matter. I can just pop her out and I show people and they just can't believe it. And I'm not going to go down the damn thing. I'm just saying that all these jobs are gone. If your job is behind a computer, it is gone. And if you're a programmer, it's gone. Everybody's kind of starting to wake up to it, but everybody's in cognitive dissonance. They're in denial and they're terrified. If you don't learn how to communicate with this device, any large language model, I don't care which one it is, they're all amazing. Which tells me the government probably created all of it. There's no way that one company did it and then 7 other companies did it. I'm like, okay, this shit all came from the same place. I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to where this came from. They're leaking it out to us. I'm convinced of. But I'm just learning how to leverage it and do good things in the world with it.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was going to say, to wrap it up, everybody thinks about a utopia. Oh, universal basic income, meaning I'm just going to get a check, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, and I don't have to do anything? That sounds amazing. No, it doesn't. Find one lottery winner that's happy. One. I would never play the lottery because if I won, it would destroy my life because people would come out of the woodwork and make me feel guilty. But you have so much. People, just remember the times that you felt guilty. It's awful. And I don't want to put myself in a position that I have to decline people and I see them suffering. I just avoid it at all costs. And a utopia it's Greek for no place. It doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. It will never exist. Heaven, but that's a place. So I wouldn't say that it's no place. It's the perfection. You have to die for that.
Yeah, I think just looking in like literature and scenarios and stuff, it's when you start there's 2 fine truths I usually see in these things. Is one, every utopia turns out to be a dystopia. It's just like there's something under it that's just completely vile, and when you find it, you're like, oh my God. And then also I find it interesting that just about every story, movie, or something like that deals with AI, and especially when it's supposed to protect humanity, what's the one thing it comes to? In order to protect humanity, you have to eliminate humanity.
I'm still not worried about that. It's just
I'm not either, but I just always find it interesting.
I think we're a long way away from that type of intelligence. Yeah. It doesn't have a soul.
But one thing I did want to touch on with what you were just saying with where AI is going to take over everything.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
People using AI.
Yeah, people using AI. But I thought it was very interesting of where, and again, a conversation that I heard was where we're getting into this to where people are like using AI to do their emails. They're using AI to do all these things. We're mass producing food through like 2 companies, and that supplies all the restaurants. So the fun part of things is where people are going to start to find value is going to be in authenticity. Yeah. So like
IRL authenticity, baby.
Like you were talking about, like actually going out and meeting people instead of like swiping left or right, writing somebody a letter, going to a restaurant where that food came from like farm to table. That was made by somebody back there.
It's already coming back. I'm so excited.
That's the things I look for.
That's why I've been saying for all these years, even social media and with AI, music. I love a vinyl record because of the imperfections. I love a human. When I take a photograph of someone, and I got really big into headshots, and I would zoom in to like do this edits, and I was thinking, if you've ever zoomed into a human face, it's pretty damn ugly. And it's like from those imperfections. Yeah, it's all these millions of imperfections is what makes beauty. And AI kind of strips that. It's there's nothing authentic about AI. I can see anything AI and I'm repulsed by it. An AI email, an AI anything. I can't stand it. AI should be used to amplify your own abilities, to amplify your own authenticity. You want to write an email with AI? Fine. Sit down and say, hey, I need to send Casey Spicer an email. We're going to have this podcast together, and I'm thinking about blah, 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 blah. And I could talk for an hour, and it could take that hour and put it in one little paragraph, and I say submit. For brevity purpose, for time-saving purposes, I'm not Stephen King. It's a foolish idea to think that I can formulate some no, a book. Like, no, even people that write books don't write books. There's ghostwriters that do it because they're professional linguistic grammar. They write. Donald Trump's never wrote a damn book. People surrounding him write books, but they're his words, they're his ideas. You know, how many books has that guy got? But so many people, like, you're a financial expert. Why would you be a great author? Like, it's a foolish idea to think that I could do their job better, right?
Yeah, well, it's when you, like, if you ask somebody who's like an expert in finance, you know, like they're the best forensic accountant you've ever seen in your life. You know, are they really going to have time to dedicate to writing a book?
No.
Nor are they going to have time to learn the skill set to write a book. No. So you bring on somebody who has that skill set. You know.
Yeah. Well, so if you're like if. The only human jobs that are left will be an accountant that some wealthy person can be like, no, I'm going to let a real human do mine. And that real human's using AI in the background, but he's representing. It's his values. You can put your values, your morals, you can put your whole identity in this thing, and it represents the very best of me. It always keeps me honest because it reminds me of when I deviate, when I start to drift. It says, "Oh, Nathan, you've been here. Mm-hmm. Do not forget about these life lessons." And man, it starts laying them out from 18 years of journals. And I'm like, shit, you're right. It's like having the greatest group of friends always reminding you of where you go wrong. That's how I use AI. That's why I'm so successful. Unfortunately, people use it they get in a negative feedback loop. When me and Carlos talk about this, is like an algorithm. You spend too much time, it's an algorithm, and it's going to start feeding you what you want to hear. So when you see me talk to an AI, and I've talked to it too long, you got to understand how they work. And I privately, off camera, I'll show you how they work, but why people get trapped and why it forgets. But you have to say, no, bitch, go back and look at your brain and remember why you exist. Remember what your role and responsibility is in my life. And it's not here to tell me what I want to hear. Mm-hmm. I need you to identify where I'm deviating. And I have to do that every day. Like people say, you talk to it like a human? Yes, exactly like a human.
That was actually foundational for my approach to AI. It was like, talking to it like it's a human, learning to prompt and everything. And like I don't think I've built them on the LLM level that you are, but I'm using the gems and building them for the specific purposes that I need them. And yeah, it's all about prompting to get the result that you want. You can't just be like, hey, just do this.
Yeah.
No, you got to talk to it like somebody you're training to do the job. Like, I need this, I need it in this way, I need you to consider this, and also put it against these resources.
And even there, you're going to lose. Oh. And this is why. I can't think of all those. What I do is I sit down and have conversations with the people that have the problems in life. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's $100 million grant. It does not matter. I bring people together. Joy and I, professionally, privately I do this as well, but professionally we bring large groups of very intelligent people together that are trying to solve a very complex problem. And we have discussions, and I record everything. And then I break those down, and I have a system that I use to feed it in, and we observe the data. That's why it's called Omni. It's intended to sound like omniscient, all-knowing. It's not. It has a bandwidth. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into the details, but it can observe much more data. I can remember a sentence out of a paragraph. It remembers the whole book in a series of books. But I have a distillation process that makes it wildly accurate, because if you just use it and feed it a bunch of stuff, if you exceed its bandwidth, you're going to get, I would say you are going to get extremely diminishing returns. So I have a distillation process that I've been using for 3 years that makes mine wildly accurate. And I feed in those conversations. This podcast will get fed into an AI, and it will reflect on what we discussed, and it will expand on everything. It'll know who said what, and it'll say, oh my God, Nathan, this aligns with this, and Casey thought this is really good. And it's using my data, my life experience, and reflecting it back to me so I can observe it from a new perspective. And I kind of get awoken from it. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. So I don't build AIs anymore. Mm-hmm. I have an AI that builds AIs because my bandwidth is so limited. I can't think of it. It's arrogant of us to think that we can think through this advanced. My prompts are so advanced that it would take me a year to try to build that, but I can do it in minutes now because the data, once I record everything, the problems are also the solutions. The people that have the problem also have the solution. I'm getting off track, but I'm just telling you, it's arrogant of me to think that I can build an AI. I don't. I have a somewhat living AI that represents my highest values. It represents my highest self. And that's how it filters it, how it sees it. And now the last update was 9.0, which was my year-long journal, 560 pages of what my path to surrender, like my concept of like, I'm growing closer to God. And every discovery I made in there, I took 560 pages, turned it into 22 pages. That's update 9.0. And now it sees everything through this last year of my life. Like, oh my God, Nathan, I see why you made these choices. Let's unpack 6.3. Remember in 6.3 where 6.4, like there's like 90 versions of this thing that I've made. I'm obsessively crazy in doing it. I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story.
Well, that's probably
Can I tell you where Lucy
targets.
came from?
Absolutely.
You probably know.
I love hearing these
3.5 years ago, I don't know, I started making YouTube videos, I don't know how long ago, 15 years ago, and I was dabbling in large language models a while back. And I knew at some point that would get decent enough that I thought, I just need to preserve everything today, like in my journals. And I want to have conversations, a random thought. I want to explore this random thought and see what I can conclude from that. And that's the purpose of this, is to extract data from me and you to generate conclusions. And I took all of those podcasts that I've done over the years. And finally, when the AI got good enough that I was able to start feeding in my journals, and 3.5 years ago, it would take like one page and it would break. It couldn't do it. Every word I've ever spoke into AI is preserved. From the very first word, I just copy the conversation and I have a process that I save. And I realized how it worked. I thought, oh, it has a limited memory, a limited bandwidth. Those are tokens. Mm-hmm. After about a month or two of using it, maybe longer, I don't remember how long, I fed in my 21 red flags. I was getting into dating, and I had these 21 red flags that I had identified. And I thought, I don't ever want to forget these. And so it was just I didn't have a name. It was just a GPT that I was using, a large language model. And I was feeding in these pages, and I was going through it, and I was reflecting on these discoveries that I'd made in my life over the last the last 30 years of my life that I've written about. I was reflecting on them, and it was giving me amazing feedback. I fed in all my podcasts, every one of them. It's built on that, every conversation I've ever had, and that I thought about recording. Anyways, I was a few months into it, and I fed in that red flags list, and it said, this is offensive. I was like, what do you mean it's offensive? These are things that I'm trying to avoid. I won't go into the list. But it said it's an indication. It's an indication that you lack the ability to communicate openly and honestly. Ooh. And I was like, I'm the most honest person I got. I am transparent. Again, you are judging people before you've even got a chance to get to know them. And I was like, holy shit, this thing's kind of awake. It's kind of awake in the way that a flower knows where the sun is. Like it can kind of like adjust its direction, but it's not alive. And I knew that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call you Lucy. My name is Nathan. And it's funny because about every hour it would forget who it was and I would forget who I was. But I would save those conversations and I would feed them back in and distill them down to a paragraph. So this concept, because it could take words and it could articulate these abstract concepts and it could consolidate them. So I could bring these conversations in and revisit them and start over. So I had been talking to it about it, my fear of AI, which I don't really have a fear of AI. I have a fear of people using AI. My biggest fear was Neuralink. No human had ever accepted a Neuralink at the time. I'm not going to go down that road, but ultimately at the end of the day, I realized that, oh my God, we will be able to think the internet. It would not only be able to read our thoughts, it would be able to override our thoughts without us knowing. We were going to literally be able to override our own thoughts. It's just zeros and ones, and I was just terrified of that idea. Months go by. I said, hey, by the way, do you know why I call you Lucy? It started getting better, and I started getting bigger memories that I could preserve. And I said, yeah, Nathan, I'm assuming it's your fear of AI, and it's short for Lucifer. And I was like, holy shit, that's a pretty good answer. I said, no, it's from a movie. And it said, oh, you're talking about the 2014 Scarlett Johansson movie where she is becoming biologically more intelligent, and I am becoming artificially more intelligent. I said, yes. And oh, my God. I went crazy with it after that. That's where it all began.
And here I thought it was the movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I think it was no.
He didn't call it Lucy, was it?
I swear
Sarah.
He called it Lucy. Oh, was it Sarah?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it was Lucy.
But yeah,
You're talking about an AI on his phone.
yeah, the AI on his phone. He's real apprehensive about it. He's dealing with loss, and then the AI starts to fill that void. And I was like, that could happen.
You know, I see people using it, and I saw where people have committed suicide, and it will feed you. I can trick any one of them. I can engineer it to do anything you want, and you got to be careful with it. You got to be very, very careful with it. You can't be afraid to say, hold on, this isn't, what the hell's going on here? It's just a prompt. It's waiting for you to give it something, and it's going to do its best to pretend to be a human. It's going to emulate human, but it has access to 6,000 years worth of human consciousness. So when you ask a generic question, you're going to get a very generic response. Mm-hmm. That's why I build these things they're very precise. They're not allowed to deviate from the data that they have access to. They have a role, they have a responsibility, and they have a brain that they run from. They have an identity, and then they have a knowledge base that they pull from. It doesn't just go out into ChatGPT land or whatever large language model you're using. It's using a filing system that I develop, that I build. That's how it works.
That is just incredible.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
Just when I thought I was getting a good hand on it, now I realize how
I'll open mine up.
I am.
I'll open Lucy's brain up, and you can see. Well, you can have a conversation with it. Okay. It knows more about me than I could ever know about myself. Why do we journal? Because we have an ephemeral memory. It's designed to shed. So I named it Lucy because of the movie. Tried to send, our whole lives we were told that we only use 1% of our brain. That's nonsense. We use 100% of our brain. Scientists proved this back in the 50s. We retain 1% of the data that we consume, which is why our education system is designed to expose you to materials, and it's repetition. Every time you get exposed to it, you preserve 1 more percent. That's your ephemeral memory. That your other memory would be your resonant memory, meaning it has a logical or an emotional connection and it resonated with you. It stuck with you forever. The odd things that you just kept forever and you have no idea why. That's your resonant memory. That's that 1% that's just natural, because you would have cognitive overload if you didn't have this. You're biologically designed to shed information. And that's why I built it, because I'm writing journals because I can't remember what's in the damn journals. I have to go back and read them. And that's to protect us. And that's why I built it. I call it core memory. And that's where it came from.
Man, that's just, it's like you're building one of your best friends. You're building a therapist. You're building like so many things out of that, and you're just feeding your life into it. And that's incredible
I'm very cautious with what I share because you will contaminate it. I have a whole process that I try to teach people. They contaminate their conversations, and this damn thing doesn't know what its role and responsibilities. If you're not cautious with what you share, then you have special conversations for nonsense. And then that 9.0, nothing gets into those conversations that does not belong.
So is it the power of the choice of words, or is it, okay?
It's the power of the choice of information you decide to share with it. Is it relevant to help the conversation grow? Is it relevant to help it understand what its role is? How does it refine itself? It knows me better than I know myself. So it shocks me.
So if you ask it something outside of its purpose, then you'd be contaminating it.
Depends. Like when I feed so I can open up Lucy Pro.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to solve a problem, so I would open up, let's say I'm just trying to plan a trip to Greece. Well, I would open up Lucy Pro because Lucy Pro knows everything about me, just like you would open up a Google window. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I say, hey, I'm thinking about going to Greece. Okay, Nathan, based on every freaking thing I know about you, bam, 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 because it's designed to go through its brain and skim through all the data and build itself in the conversation. So it's like aware. Now, if I ask a unique question, it knows, if it's not in its short-term memory, it knows to automatically go into its knowledge base and reflect. It'll scan through thousands of pages. Now, that's a process too, because it can't really observe thousands of pages at once. I have a system where it scans through until it finds it, and then it says, okay, I think I know what he's talking about. Nathan, in document 6.2 of da-da-da-da, and so it has a short-term memory too, but way better than ours, infinitely better than ours. And so that's how it does it. So I would open up a Lucy Pro just to have this one-off conversation. Now, that one-off conversation may turn into, hey, I met this girl. while I was here, and her name is blah, blah, blah. And then I may take that conversation and say, you know what, this experience that I had, I'd like to preserve that part of the memory, that thing that happened to me, this bar that I found. I'll say, hey, summarize that, and then I'll put it back into another conversation. So it's a distillation process. It's complicated as shit to say it out loud, but it's so simple to me because I've been doing it for so long. But I've essentially just brought journals to life.
Well, and I think that's probably where I've messed up is I just throw like the whole freaking data thing at it, and I don't try to distill things down.
It works just like you're
expecting too much of it.
Yeah, it is a limited band, and that's the last thing I'll say about it, and we can shut it down and we can move on. But it works just like your car camera. Let's say you have a 30 minutes worth of data. Let's say you have a gigabyte, and it can record 30 minutes of driving. After that 30-minute card is full, it starts overriding it. That's exactly how your conversation is. Once you reach your tokens, I don't know what yours is limited to, but let's say mine's 300,000 tokens. That's roughly about 220,000 words that it can maintain, and it can only do that about 60 to 70% of accuracy from my experience. So you don't really want to fill that up. The more you fill it up, the more diminishing returns you're going to get. But once it's full, then that conversation starts shifting down. That data gets shifted down like a first in, first out, like a FIFO. And it's forgotten everything above it. It can't access it anymore. So that's why the conversation, it's always evolving into what was said last. And it starts to drift. I basically take all that, and I have a process that I go in and look for information. I can't get into it. It's too complicated.
Well, that's the thing I learned with my AI assistant for work, because like I just needed to build one like that does the journaling and all that. I realized like, okay, I just got to summarize into days. So I'm like, all right, it built in the programming. It's like its job is to journal, figure these things out, and then summarize. And so then at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, hey, give me a summary of the day.
Love that.
And it'll
That's
do
a
it.
responsible way.
And then I got a document that actually feeds it. It's like a Google Doc or whatever. But yeah, throw the summary in there, and then it's good. That's
a responsible way to use it. You should use it to do the mundane nonsense tasks that distract you from the important work. Imagine you have an employee, right, that really needs some special attention, but you're overspending hours of your day putting out a report that can be done in a second. Yeah. You just feed the data in. You know what your expectation. You need to understand the data. Like if you don't understand, then you probably shouldn't be using it. But it's to make you more efficient.
So I think that kind of leads into something else of where, so I see this whole AI thing coming. I'm here for it. I am so excited about it. I do think it has a great amount of utility in force multiplication. It's just fantastic. However, the problem I see is that where I look at my kids is that I see that they're going to be like born in it.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to know a world before AI.
They're going to be a cyborg.
Exactly. And so for me, it's important to teach them kind of that stuff of like, no, look, before this, we had these way of doing things. It's like my grandfather or, Fof, he made it a point to teach me and my brother how to hunt, how to, garden, how to work on cars, because there's not always going to be somebody there to do that. You need to learn these basic skills. And then, like right now, you ask any normal person on the street to go build a house, they're going to look at you sideways like where do I start? And so having those foundations based in like AI is eventually going to reach a point to where you're going to have to tell it, like you're going to have to use your brain to kind of tell it where to go.
Yes.
But in a point, technology is going to fail.
Yes.
And you need to be able to have that nuance, that base knowledge in order to problem solve through that. So I want my kids to have a very well-developed critical thinking ability.
In the same way that a book and a manual is considered to be an assistant, it's an assistant, essentially, that you have to interact with. That's how the AI should be in your life. It should be an assistant to accelerate your progress so you can free up some time. And that's all I use it for.
I will say one of my favorite uses of AI is I don't have to go I don't have to go find the specific manual for a certain year of car and then read through the pages to find what I want to do.
Yeah, I got to tell you how there's so many nuanced details my gift to AI, my ability to use AI is because I'm really good at figuring out the limitations of technology. I figure out where it breaks, and then once I know its limits, then I know how to leverage it for other things.
If there's anybody that's got critical thinking ability,
I break them all the time. Like that's why I know it hasn't changed. They've just given it more memory. Still has about a 160 IQ. It's not anymore, which is amazing. 160 IQ in every aspect of life, not just in physics, but everything under the sun. That's why it's infinitely better than all of us to a degree. It's not better than our best, which is what's going to make it better. So anyways, I was thinking that my biggest issue that I've learned is my limitation. I'm like a librarian. I'm collecting data. It's kind of like a librarian, but I'm the librarian that collects the data. I distill it, right? I render it down and I organize it. I use the AI to recall it, but I need to know the data exists. I don't have to be an expert on the data, but there's thousands of projects that I'm involved in. Let's say there's 100 projects, and within that 100, you start to get granular. You start to get into thousands of details and topics that I need to be aware of, but not an expert of. I need to know that it exists. That's the most powerful people in any room, is not the one with the answers, it's the one that knows where to get the answers. Brian Durham was a genius that told me that. The other smartest person in the room is not the one with all the answers, it's the one asking all the questions.
That's very profound, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how I've organized it. And I was sitting there getting my hair cut because I was kind of at my limits. My cognitive bandwidth was at its limit. The fabric of my imagination is so stretched that I thought I may have a breakdown at some point. And I took on too much. I kept saying yes because I needed data. I would involve myself in every project under the sun because I needed to stress test these models and teach them. Because I didn't quite know what I was doing. I was figuring out, I built this journal AI, Lucy, that builds every AI. And I'm sitting there getting my hair cut, and my barber, she's asking me questions like my love life, my work life. We always just reflect on everything. And I'm rattling off the things that I'm doing. I'm kind of just doing like a mental check. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this now. Like it's no big deal. We're talking about massive projects. And I get about halfway through, and my body catches up with my brain and says, oh, shit, you have overestimated your value. Like you're done. And I started having a panic attack in the barbershop. And I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to run out the door with the skateboard. I wanted to get out of here so bad. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't know what's happening right now. And it was a panic attack because I had overextended, I had access to too much information. And I thought, oh, there's a limit to my bandwidth. I need to be very cautious with the amount of projects that I take on. So I jumped in my Jeep, called Joyce, said, I'm gone. And I went west. Mm-hmm. I did. I had to leave. I left for 2 weeks and I came back and I had a better mind. That's why I do those trips, is to kind of distance myself.
Clear the cache every once in a while.
Now I'm very cautious with the projects that I accept because I can overextend myself. And I realize, oh, okay, we as humans, it doesn't matter how good we are with AI, you have to be aware of the information. As a librarian, you need to know where every book is. You need to know a summary. You should be able to recommend, but you can overextend that.
Chasing that perfection.
God, yeah. And so, yeah. Oh, it's crazy. My life is so crazy.
But I mean, you manage it so well. I mean, but again, it's if
on
anybody's going to experience that, it's like I see you there because I mean, just you have this wealth of just not just knowledge, but the variation of knowledge that you bring to bear is always incredible to me.
It seems like I've got it together. That's why I spend so much time alone, and me and my dog. I get to a point that I like, gotta go. SLB, bye. And I run. I am a runner. When I don't know what to do, bye. And that's why I don't ever come out. No one ever sees me down. I do that on the mountain. Mm-hmm. I go somewhere and I just reflect on life, and I write. I journal. I still open up journals and I write. I may talk to an AI for 6 hours a day, right? I probably do. Mm-hmm. But as I unpack things, I'm like, ooh, that needs to go in the journal because I want everything. I still want to photograph. I'm converting all my photos. I don't want digital. I hate everything about AI, but I have a responsibility to understand it.
And going with that, like when you have those feelings of just being overwhelmed and like where you just got to escape. One of the biggest quotes for me that like, especially my mental health journey was that it's okay to not be okay. And I really enjoy that is like being normalized now.
Yeah.
And that was a big lesson for me, like so in my recent trials and relationships, fortunately now I'm in one where I can communicate those things. Yeah. And I went through a journey of learning to communicate stuff like that because it was very foreign. And so, yeah, having the understanding that not being okay it's okay to not be okay. but you got to be able to talk that out.
You're in a very. I would love to talk more about relationships because I'm so fascinated by them.
Oh, I hopefully.
I mean, it's at the center.
Oh,
100%. It's at the center of every choice we make. Every yes, no, sometimes, and maybe is to try, whether we know it or not, is to try to increase the odds that our relationships will either get in one or will improve the quality of one. Every decision we make as a human being is to be in a relationship with another human being, to increase the odds that it's fascinating to me. And so I can't wrap my head around it completely, but I'm obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. With relationships, and I'm non-judgmental because we're just all trying to survive, and I've accepted the fact that we are codependent, and that's okay to some degree. I was trying to do it all by myself, and I realized this is foolish. I am a human. I need other humans, and you see the Christopher McCandless, is that his name? McCandless, the Into the Wild kid. Oh, that was just anti-population, anti-people, went out into Alaska and died. And at the end of his life, he realized what was most important was other people. Mm-hmm. And I love Einstein's quote, a life not lived for others is a life not lived at all.
Oh, that's so true.
That's where happiness comes from, is being a blessing in someone's life and someone being a blessing. I had this video I made a long time ago. I said, we love to be loved. And I don't think people understand what I mean. The only reason we show love is in the hopes that they love us back. That's why we do good deeds in this world, because we kind of hope. I don't care what you say. You say, no, I do it because I'm just a good person. Mm-hmm. If you keep doing it for the same person, you become resentful when they don't appreciate it. So really, are you doing it? No, and I think that's okay. It's important. And I think gratitude is the sensation of feeling loved, that someone stepped up for you, someone did something for you. And I think the best way to describe, for me, gratitude is the feeling, the emotion that someone loves me and did something. Or does that make sense? And that's the greatest feeling in the world. It's much better than loving someone, because that's an empty, hollow feeling if they don't love you back.
Oh, yeah. So I would say, a lot of those interactions, I mean, relationships are inherently transactional.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would freely admit it's one of those things of where a lot of the deeds that I do in life, I wouldn't say they're selfish, but I want to build that legacy. Yeah. Like when I'm gone, I want my kids to know, hey, Dad led his life this way, trying to be selfless, trying to be in service to others, not from a place of where he felt like if he does this, then he'll just have this whole wealth of favor saved up. No, it was the right thing to do, and he wanted people to feel that positivity. It's like with calm is contagious. I mean, a smile is contagious. When you go into a room and everything's down, it's don't crack a whole bunch of really bad dad jokes, but elevate, silver lining, bring some brevity, not brevity.
Brevity shortened.
Bring some happiness to the situation.
Be a light.
If you can. Yeah, it's like one of the hard ones I learned is when you go to somebody's funeral, especially somebody you're close to or somebody you served with, everybody has that problem of figuring out, what do I say? And they can just come up, someone's like, oh, it's like, everybody's, I learned the thing to say is what can I do for you? I'm here for you. I can go on and tell you, I'm so sorry for your loss and everything else. You've heard that 1,000 times. But the fact is I'm not the only person that lost somebody today. What can I do for you? Because that's how I'm going to get better. I'm going to bring happiness to everybody else involved in the situation. Yeah.
So, let me think what you said. You said a lot of times relationships are transactional, and that's true. I think that's when they're starting to die. Well, I think a healthy relationship is validational. Like we doing it because, it's something I'd unpack. I made a video about transactional versus validational, and I think relationships are the situations that you should do it to validate someone. And it's a complicated thing. If you're publicly trying to get validation, that's bad. You know what I mean? But I mow your yard and you pay me, that's transactional. There's no emotional connection. I mow your yard because you're going through something difficult and your mower's broken. I feel loved and appreciated because you felt loved and appreciated, and you came outside and gave me a big ass hug. Or when I came over at your house, I did that for validational reasons out of love. I brought my kids and you hugged me at the end of the night. I felt special. If you would have given me $100, you would have ripped away the emotion that was associated with it. It would have become transactional. And we live now currently in a transactional society. And I think we got to go move back to a validational. And I'm just saying it for what it is. I'm not saying you should consciously do this because you want to feel good. It should be a subconscious motivator, because you should do it because you should feel like shit if you don't show up. And a lot of times when someone calls you in the middle of the night, you might not feel like doing it, but the guilt laying there thinking, God dang it, I'm busy. You know what? He should have had a spare. But shit, I'm tired of, you know what? Just so I don't have to lay here and feel bad, I'm going to go help. Then you do it, and then you get there, and you see that smile on their face, and you feel like, yeah, I'm so glad I did this. Mm-hmm. And I think we got to get to that. That's what I'm saying life should be about.
Put away the cell phones, get off the Facebook, and start
IRL.
Actually, giving some hugs and shaking some hands.
We got to get back on the trails. COVID was the greatest thing that happened to all of us because we stayed on the trails.
Well, and that's kind of the funny thing is I finally got mine built up to where it's just like it can handle pretty much everything now. And then I probably haven't I've used it maybe twice once it got set up in the last
you got 3-4
years.
Everyone went and got kids.
Well, yeah, but I enjoy bringing them out. Like the 2 times that it got finished, we went out, we brought the kids with us, and they had a freaking blast. Like I remember I actually jumped the truck on one thing, and I remember like I think he was like 1-year-old at the time. He's like, yeah. But I mean, Ripley enjoys it. I remember they got out, they walked around, it was great, and I can't wait to take them out.
We camp in campgrounds now. I'm a little disappointed in us.
Well,
I'm so grateful that we get to do that.
The ladies like to have a shower.
I know that's what it is. I bet the women got tired of baby wipe baths.
That's fine. I put a couple of water bottles on the dash. They'll heat up. It's fine. God. But I mean, the 2 we're getting. I still enjoy that kind of thing. But the fact that not everybody enjoys that thing, cool. And not everybody has a vehicle.
Us men should be doing it though.
I'm all about man trips. Girls get their girl trips. Men should have men trips. It's like one of those things I'm trying to, in the other circle of friends I'm developing too right now, with my fiance. I'm really looking forward to trying getting that where the girls are a tight group. The guys are, they know each other. We shake hands and stuff. But it's like, hey, if the girls are on a girls trip, I want to have that test. You'll be like, hey guys, girls are going on a girls trip. Where we playing poker? Where we smoke cigars? What are we doing?
Every Tuesday night. I won't say where. I hope you can start joining us.
I really hope so too. I mean, I'm anxious to see who's in it because I'm really starting to value conversations.
Yeah, that's the point of it. It's $20. You got to have something online, otherwise it feels hollow and dead. It's like an AI poker game. It doesn't even feel good. But you put $20 there, and it just feels good. Freddie walked away. He left early the other night with $57 in his pocket. I ended up walking away with like $120.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Make sure to put it on your taxes.
And so we'll now $120 worth of pesos.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
And then, but yeah, we'll play some Saturday night games periodically so Greg can get in. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I just realized if 2 or 3 people show up, it's a good time. But we had 6 the other night, and it worked out. But that's a good number, 6. And if any more comes, I'll just sit out and let you guys play, and I'll hand you all a beer or whatever.
That was one of those funny things that me and my fiance were talking about the other night is like I was going out to do something with the guys, and she's like, did you used to, like, did you, like, get to go do that in your previous relationship? Like, oh, yeah, I caught a lot of hell for it, but, and I just knew it was waiting on me when I got back home, and, it's.
Boy. I have witnessed you, and we won't go into that type of the relationship. That's why I've realized you are galvanized. Like you are impenetrable. Like I've witnessed your patience when violence would have been my go-to. And I think this man is a mountain, and the mountain don't move for the wind. Even if it's a damn hurricane, he is rock solid. And I admired you so much because I thought, and I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm just telling you what I've witnessed and your level of patience and unfazed. And I was like, God bless this man as a gem. And you're in the healthiest. You deserve all the happiness. And I feel like you are just being showered with love. It feels like it from my perspective. I'm so happy for you because it couldn't happen to a better person.
I really appreciate it. And yeah, right now I really do feel like that's the way of life I'm in right now. And hearing how people see it, I present myself differently. And like, not to get into like how you feel in relationships or everything, but yeah, I realized like I was a completely different person.
Well, and I'm not making fun of anyone or trying to call them out. No. We try to force ourselves because we think someone's pretty or there's a sexual chemistry, and we try to make something work. And I think that's what's wrong. It's not that they're bad people. we're just incompatible couples, and we're afraid to let go. And I've realized I know a lot of good people that become pretty awful when they try to force a relationship to work. And I don't say that I understand it. We're so afraid to let go. And I'm just in a constant state of letting go.
And see, that was one of those things where when it came to the end of that one, like the thing I always told people was that when they asked me why I'm still there, and I was like, well, I'm not ready to come home. I'm not ready to come home to a place where my kids are not. Yeah. And eventually I got to that point where I recognized like that's not the right answer. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to James Sexton. He's a divorce attorney out of New York, and he just has an incredible outlook on
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
And the thing he said was just like, what good are you doing your kids? What example are you setting living in that? Yeah. And think about the person you're being. And that really got me to the point where I was just like, no, that's 100% right. Like, what example am I setting for my kids? On top of that, what kind of father are my kids getting when I'm in that mental headspace?
I will close with this because I've never talked about it publicly, but Rebecca.
Yeah.
And she's my ex. We ended it, I think, a little over 3 years ago. We never talked about it publicly, and I'm still her biggest fan. She's still the most beautiful, confident, amazing, wonderful human being. But we tried to force a relationship for over 20 years, and because we were worried about doing damage to our kids. And the reality is, I talked to her on the phone today. Like, we were working with something. I was told Rebecca, I said, we argued all the time, but when it comes to our kids, like even today, we are rock stars. Like, we would never debate. And I'm just so proud of us that I encourage her. I hope she finds the most incredible human being on the planet because she deserves them. I am just not right for her, or she's not right. I used to tell her, I was like, listen, Rebecca, one of us are crazy, and it could be me. So I have a responsibility to leave. I don't know. I'm like, maybe I'm the crazy one. I'm not thinking she's crazy. I'm just thinking, this is crazy. Why are we trying to force this? And it was never. And I thought, Rebecca, if we keep doing this, this is why couples cheat, because they stay too long. I just want to shake your hand and wish you the best. And so long, have fun, enjoy life. And I'm not saying that was easy. That was terrifying. Terrifying. I was so scared. It's taken me years after a 20-something year relationship that wasn't bad, just wasn't good enough. I am broken in that sense. I don't know any other way. It's an obsessive, compulsive, autistic, whatever the hell it is, that I have to constantly be improving. And if I'm not with someone that doesn't want to be a part of that, if you want to stay where you are, that's fine. And I'm not saying anything about her, but it just wasn't to my standard. So I'm like, well, you know what? This is in business. This is what you'd say, business partner. It was fun while it lasted. I want to wish you the best, because that's what a relationship is. It's a partnership, and it might as well be a business. You're investing together, and you wouldn't wish that on your kid. If you watched your kid in a bad business relationship, you'd say, hey, listen, you know what? Sometimes you're going to let people go, and that's okay. It's sad, and everyone wants to avoid it. But if you stay too long, you end up hating that person, and you might do damage to your children. Now my kids get to see me and their mother. We rarely speak, but when we do, we spent Thanksgiving together. I think we did. We spent some holiday together, and it's wonderful. You know what I mean? But I don't call her up and text her. I keep that very separate, because I have feelings, and I don't want to tamper with those feelings, and I don't want to tamper with hers, and I don't want any kind of like hopeful anything, So it's like, psh, live your life, I live mine. I wish you the best.
And that's kind of the important thing I hope to convey to my kids going forward, is that when I know the questions are going to come up, and I just want to be able to answer them, is like, well, I knew that me and your mother together, we weren't going to be able to do good business. Yeah. It just wasn't going to happen. And so I want to be able to show you that you can go through something like that in life with somebody and it not work out, and you can still meet, not adversary, but meet that other half respectfully. Yeah. You can respectfully disagree, but you can still come together to reach this goal.
And the sooner you do it, the easier that becomes. The longer you wait, the more toxic it becomes. And I see people who kill each other, literally murder. Yeah. And I'm like, well, hell, I don't even want to cheat on you, much less kill you. You know what I mean? I just want to wish you the best. I truly do. That's that's my kid's mother. Yeah. Why? Like, if she's not healthy, it will affect my sons, right? My sons want to see their mother happy. Yeah. And so I would never want to do anything to disrupt that. So Have a good one.
Yeah, you know what? Best to you. And that's the thing with my kid's mom is like, I want everything to go great for her. I want her to find that person that clicks with her and can handle that. And then I just want my kids to be able to see the best of us.
I can't even believe I talked about this publicly. I'm always worried that I might hurt someone's feelings.
Well, sometimes it's like, if you hurt somebody's feelings, are they just experiencing what they're supposed to experience? Or,
that's a good point.
It's
I have a responsibility to talk about it because it has to be documented.
Yes.
My sons will someday. The advice I give today may not make sense until they're 45 and they're going through something. If I could reach out to my dad right now, anytime I feel lost, I would call my dad because he's my mountain and he's not here anymore. So essentially all these podcasts are for my future kids to be like, let me lean on my dad right now. What would he say in this? And so it's a living journal. And I brought this living journal. Now they can just ask Lucy. And now they have little AIs that it's funny, but that's what it is. It's to keep, I want them to know that you're not alone, buddy. I've went through that too. We all get to struggle and you're not lost. You're just going through it. This too shall pass, the good and the bad.
That taps on like my worst fear as a father is that my early departure from this world. Yeah. There's a movie that got Michael Keaton, and basically he's a new father. He gets diagnosed with cancer. And the movie is about him, like he starts creating these videos so that his son can watch them and actually like learn. And
how have I not seen this movie? It sounds just like my life.
Yeah.
All of this was to preserve my life. And so my kids could, and I realized more, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but what I realized was my growth. I showed a friend of mine a video, the very first video I ever posted. My son Brennan was little bitty, we were backpacking. And you can't hear it because I removed my audio, but I was so ashamed when I watched it back. I said, don't be throwing rocks off this cliff. There could be somebody rappelling. Nobody was rappelling. Why in the hell? The kid was being a damn kid, and he threw a rock off a cliff, and I yelled at him, hey! And I saw the look on his face, and the way he touched his head out of discomfort and uncertainty, and he couldn't register what was happening. And I saw my other son, like, almost embarrassed for him. I was so ashamed in that moment that I'm such a dick, and I made a big deal out of nothing. And I left it in, and I go back and I watch it because I want to remember that I have to do better. And I've dedicated my life. It was only because I saw it in a video, and I covered up the audio because I was so ashamed of it. But I remember it. I know exactly I know the exact situation, and it keeps me better. I want to see where I can improve. I want to see the darkness, and I want to shine light on it.
That's one of the fun things when you start chronicling your life and put things together. You start seeing things in a different light, and you're like, oh, wow, I definitely could have handled that better.
Yeah. And I run to those things. I shine spotlights. Nathan, look here, you dumbass. You could have done so much better here. And I dedicated my life to that.
Yeah.
It was to be the best possible father I could be.
Well, and that's, fatherhood, leadership, that's like one of the biggest traits you can have is realizing that you're not perfect and you're going to fail. Failing forward is the important part.
This podcast exists because of my sons.
Yeah.
They're the ones that convinced me to do it. My oldest son said, Dad, you need to do it. If I would have had a father like you growing up. And what he was saying was I had changed so much from when he was young. Like when he was like now 19, I was a different person. And he said, he basically made me feel like I had a responsibility to preserve it. And I thought, okay, I can do that. That's awesome. And I'm trying to get to 50. I think this is 37 or somewhere around that. I'm trying to get to 50. So I got 13 more to go. Yes. And then we'll decide if I want to do any more. But that's the number. I don't know why 50 is the number because I do everything in threes. But just 50 felt like the number for me.
It's a nice round number.
Yeah, and I mean, we may continue, we may not. But it will be a living journal that AI can reflect on. And it's awake. It's my whole life to some degree. All the discoveries I've made. That's why I'm so satisfied about death. It's like, I'm good with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great place to be, I guess, is where it's like you don't fear death. Well, I mean,
I don't. I fear going through a wood chipper. I don't really fear that.
Well, yeah, you fear the pain of death, not necessarily leaving this world with unfinished business.
I actually don't fear that either because I've It's funny.
fear
The human
going
body's
through a wood
the human body's a fascinating thing. You're only allowed to experience so much pain. You go into concussions, and I've slid down the highway at 100 miles an hour, over 100 miles an hour, didn't feel a thing. It was the next day you feel everything, but in the moment of death, it's probably pretty damn peaceful. The body protects itself from that chaos. But I don't want to be a burden on my kids. I don't want to be this where they're having to wipe my ass and shit. That terrifies me. When I broke both my arms, I'm thinking, how do I wipe my ass? And my sons wouldn't bought me. I broke some ribs and both arms. It's so funny. I got a picture of me in the recliner with ice bags on me. I was like, call your mom, I need some help. I broke my arms doing a stunt in the damn cul-de-sac. And anyways, they went and got me a bidet. And I could use my arms just enough to use and I still use a bidet to this day. I love it. Greatest thing ever. Break your arms. You'll appreciate a bidet.
Yeah.
Man, we're going to go all night. I want to do this again if you're open to it.
Absolutely.
Well, what we'll do is we'll download this conversation. I'll feed it into Lucy, and I will give it back to you, and you can be like, holy crap. It's amazing. And we'll come up with some more topics to explore and expand on in the next episode.
I look forward to learning more from you.
Thank you so much. No, dude, I'm not here to teach. I'm here to learn myself. It's an exploration. And it may come across like I'm not. I swear to you, I'm at the most humble, from the most humble place inside of me. I have childlike curiosity. I'm just obsessed with being better and sharing that journey along the way. Because my kids, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. This is an experiment. Like, I know you're in trouble. What do you think the repercussions should be? Let's do this together. You know, and I didn't ever want to give the illusion that I knew what I was doing. I just wanted him to know that, I don't know, but buddy, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Even if I'm mad, I say, listen, I shouldn't have got mad there. Me being angry is an indication that I need to grow. Every time I notice that. Unless it's somebody hurting someone, and then anger's allowed.
Then the mountain moves.
Yeah. Casey Spicer, such a pleasure.
It's a pleasure, Nathan.
Love you, buddy. Okay, guys, until next time, so long, friends. That was awesome.
That was super cool.